What's going on, everyone? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. We just wrapped up a job. Now we're heading off to pick up a mattress from a senior living facility that I've been to multiple times, and I got through to them through one of my networking groups that I went to, and they have been sending me quite a bit of work, which is very helpful. And it's usually mattresses because people upgrade, they move from a regular mattress into a hospital bed, and usually when they deliver them, they don't remove the old one, so they call me to go pick it up. So we've been there quite a few times in the last couple of weeks, which has been very good. After that, we're going to be doing a couple of touch-ups on the new trailer that we got that we're doing a custom build for. If you have not seen any of that, I'll have it somewhere up here. There's now 2 parts out. And then after that, I want to talk a little bit about pricing if you have trouble visualizing how much something is going to take up in your truck. There is a good way to kind of do the math of it, and it's very simple addition math, and you're not really counting past like 15. So it's pretty straightforward, but I have found it to be very beneficial. So if that's something you guys struggle with, if you're a little newer to this, or you just in general have a hard time estimating, this may be a great tip for you, so stay tuned. All right, while we are waiting at the dump, we have a couple of trucks ahead of us. We are going to go over the first 3 steps, which are necessary to know before you get into the good stuff. So the first 3 steps, number 1, is to understand what the volume of your truck or trailer or cargo van, whatever you're going to be using, can hold. So you're going to take the length times the width times the height. That's going to give you your cubic footage. You're going to take that number and divide it by 27. That's going to give you your cubic yardage. So when you hear people say, yeah, I have a 12 cubic yard trailer, they're explaining what that number is divided by 27. That's how many of those sets they can fit in there. So figure that out first. The next thing you're going to want to do is figure out your pricing and your surcharges. So you need to understand, okay, how many increments am I going to have? Am I going to do a minimum pickup, quarter, half, 3/4 full? Am I going to do increments of 8? Am I going to do increments of 10, 12, 16? It varies for different companies. A lot of the franchises do like 12 and 16s. That's kind of a lot to keep track of in my mind, but that's just my opinion. You know, whatever is easy for you, go with it. And understand and know that by heart, because you don't want to show up to a customer's house and say, yeah, it's going to be a quarter truck. And then you go down and check your notes. How much is a quarter truck? Oh, okay, 209. You want to know those ahead of time so you can be quick and prompt and confident when you're giving estimates. And then any surcharges you may want to include would be like, if you have to go up flights of stairs, or maybe a high-rise building, you have to go up 20 elevator floors. That takes time. Maybe you have a really long walk because you have to park far away. Or maybe you're picking up construction debris or chemicals or paints, something that's going to take you more time to dispose of or get charged for disposing of. So make sure you can price everything out and know that ahead of time. Typically with increments, a minimum pickup for pretty much anywhere in the country usually starts off around $100 or so, and then it goes up from there. And you can tell people that too when they ask for pricing on the phone. You could say, you know, we're not able to give proper estimates over the phone. We can come there in person and give you a free estimate. Our minimum pickup starts at this amount and it goes up from there. So understand what your increments are going to be and how many you want to have based on the size of vehicle that you have. And you can always use Google. Google's your friend, and look up, you know, examples of other people. And then the third thing is to fully encompass what a cubic yard looks like. So if you were to look at an area, you could say that's approximately a cubic yard. Think of a yardstick, 3 feet, right? If you were to make an X and then stand one up in the middle and drew lines around it, that would give you a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot box. That is a cubic yard. That is 27 cubic feet, which we did the math for earlier in step 1. If you were to stack 2 of those on top of each other, that's going to give you approximately a refrigerator, which a lot of people use as an example when they're telling customers this is how much stuff we can fill in our truck. Because you tell a customer, yeah, we have a 14 cubic yard trailer, they have no idea what that is unless they work in the field, and they typically don't. So knowing what that looks like is going to help you out a lot in the coming steps. But some of the examples I'm going to be giving you are going to be similar to that refrigerator example. All right, we got a little sidetracked yesterday and ended up not working on the trailer until it was pretty dark out, and it was a little bit too dark to do any kind of visualization for pricing. So we're just going to continue on with these steps. hopefully it helps just as much. So heading into step number 4 is to try to learn a general list of common items that you remove on a day-to-day basis, like dressers, mattresses, refrigerators, washer, dryer, ovens, nightstands, boxes. These are all items that you typically see every single day in junk removal because they're in most people's houses. Whether you're doing a downsize or somebody's swapping out a bed set because they got something new, or they're just getting rid of that one item because somebody moved in and they don't have space for it, whatever the reason is, these are typical items that we remove daily. So try to memorize a general list. I'm going to throw up a reference guide of typical volume of different items, and you can use that as an example. But I would really recommend that you try to look at items in your own house, stuff you see every single day of your life. Get a little post-it note, stick it on it that says, hey, I'm this much cubic yardage. So every day you see your dresser and you say, okay, that's 1.5 cubic yards. When you go to somebody's house, look at their dresser and say, okay, is it about the size of mine? Is it a little bit smaller, a little bit less? Adjust the number a little bit. And then just use that as a guide. You see it every day. It's going to be easier to remember than something you just pulled up on Google that says, yeah, a standard dresser is 1.5 cubic yards, but what's a standard dresser? So that's one way you can kind of use it that I think will be very beneficial if you have a hard time visualizing stuff in your head. The reference that I used when I first started this is the following. A love seat is typically 2 cubic yards. A 3-seater couch is roughly 2.5 cubic yards. A refrigerator is roughly 2 cubic yards. A set of 10 kitchen bags worth of trash, not 1, 10. I'm just kind of rounding up in numbers here. I'm usually pulling away multiple bags. Is roughly 1.25 cubic yards altogether. If you're doing contractor bags and filling it up a little extra, maybe 1.5. A large dresser is 1.5 cubic yards. A typical nightstand is about half a cubic yard. A queen mattress is roughly 1 cubic yards. A oven, dishwasher, dryer, and washer machine, roughly all the same size, is 0.75 cubic yards. So if you were looking at a bedroom, let's say the customer has a queen bed box spring frame, and they have a dresser and 2 nightstands, and they say, hey, we need to get rid of all this. We're getting a new bed set delivered tomorrow. Great. Look at the room. You have a queen bed and a box spring. Don't forget the box spring, usually the same size as the mattress. And then you have a frame. Let's say you collapse the headboard, the 2 side rails, and the footboard and the slots. Let's just say it's about the same size altogether. So you have 1 cubic yard each, 3 items, 3 cubic yards. You have a dresser, 1.5 cubic yards. You have 2 nightstands, half a cubic yard each. That's 1 altogether. Add it up, 5.5 cubic yards. If your trailer holds 12 cubic yards, you have roughly half a truck. Now, when you tell the customer the estimate, always give yourself a little bit of a range. You don't have to say it's going to be half to 3/4 of a truck if you have big increments and you know it's going to be roughly half a truck. But you can tell them, let's say your half a truck price is $300 and your next price is $375. Tell the customer, I think you're going to be around $300 to $325 or $340, right? It's just a little bit extra to give yourself some wiggle room in case you're a little bit over that half a truck. And the reason I mention this is because a lot of people will get a little bit over half a truck and say, I'll just leave it there. I don't want to give the customer a new number, or I don't know what it would be, so I'm just going to keep it where I know half a truck is. The problem with doing that, though, is over the span of a year, if you do that, let's say 100 times, you may be losing out on thousands and thousands of dollars. That's one of the reasons why a lot of the franchises have so many increments. We talked about this in step 1 or 2 when I said to figure out your increments. Some companies have 16 increments and their truck is like 12 feet long. But the reason they're doing that is they have set prices for these itty bitty little changes so that they know, okay, if it's 7/16 of a truck versus 7/16 or 6/16, they can tell the customer, okay, your 7/16 is going to be this amount. And it may only be like a $14 difference, but they're guaranteeing that they're getting that exact amount and not chopping off a little bit off the edge, because over time that's going to add up. So I highly recommend that you walk around your house and figure, okay, so my dresser is roughly 1.5 cubic yards. Remember that. My 3-seater couch is roughly 2.5 cubic yards. Remember that. Use your items as a reference because you see them every day. You're going to know the size. You're going to be able to visualize that in your head better than a Google image. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea, a little bit of an insight, gives you a little bit of some wiggle room to figure things out a little bit. If you're not the best at visualizing the grand scheme of things and trying to place somebody's pile of junk in your trailer in your head and try to think roughly how big it is, use the general math. I like the cubic yardage versus cubic footage because there's lots of numbers to deal with. It's easier to add up in fractions of quarter, half, 3/4, 1 versus trying to figure out, okay, 25 cubic feet, 46 cubic feet, 57 cubic feet, and then rounding it off. I just think the smaller numbers are easier to add up. So I hope that gives you guys an idea, and I hope it helps on your next estimate. Go ahead and comment down what are some of the items that you think you would want to use, and then let me know how it works if you choose to use this example. But that is it for me. I will see you guys next time. Bye.